morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice radio, so today I'm going to be showing you what might be the ultimate risk-reward card from the upcoming Ultra Prism expansion of the Pokemon trading card game. It's Drapion. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm continuing my look at all of the good and interesting cards from Ultra Prism, and today it's the turn of Drapion. Now, Drapion has one attack that could be incredibly good, or it could be an absolute huge investment of resources without enough coming back to pay you back. So let's have a gander, shall we? Now, Drapion is a psychic Pokemon, and that's really nice, because one of the most widely played Pokemon at the moment is Buzzwole, and Buzzwole is weak to psychic, which is a good thing, although probably the actual most played Pokemon at the moment is Zoroark GX, who annoyingly has a resistance to psychic, but of course, you can't have everything. Now, being a psychic Pokemon, it is weak to psychic, and as I say, when we talk about psychic weak Pokemon, that does mean that Garbodor could potentially be a little bit of an issue. Good news is, Garbodor is seeing a lot less play lately, probably because of stuff like Zoroark that play a lot of Ace Roller to heal and have a resistance, and make sure they don't play enough item cards, although honestly, I think people are just building their decks at the moment to Garbodor-proof their decks, and I really do believe that in the near future we're all going to get a little bit complacent and somebody is going to come out of a tournament with a Garbodor deck and absolutely crush the tournament, because when Garbodor's big, everyone is building and playing so that they haven't got too many item cards in their discard because they don't want to fall for Trash Avalanche. The moment that everybody gets a bit complacent and just starts playing item cards like they used to, somebody is going to come along to a big tournament with Garbodor and absolutely crush. Good news for you is, with your psychic weakness and 130 HP, you only actually need 4 item cards in the discard to be KO'd. Although I suppose you've got just enough HP to survive if you've got 3 item cards in the discard. Yay! Speaking of 130 HP, it is a good thing. Golisopod's first impression, assuming it was on the bench and became active this turn, does 120. Silvally GX, 120. I've said this in a bunch of videos lately with Pokemon that have 120 or 130 HP. At the moment, 130 is one of those crucial numbers. There is a big difference between having 130 HP and having 120 HP. Retreat cost of 3 is a lot, but you can use Heavy Ball, and I still believe more decks should be playing Heavy Ball than are currently playing Heavy Ball. So, with all of that out of the way, let's have a quick gander at the attack, and it's a great attack. It's a wonderful, brilliant attack, but it's for 4 psychic energy. 100 damage, instant paralysis, instant poison. That's really good. Now, we've talked about automatic paralysis quite a lot over the past few months with a bunch of different cards, but here's the thing. Automatic paralysis usually has a huge downside attached to it because generally it's unhealthy to have automatic paralysis. We don't want to automatically paralyze every turn. So let's take something like a Mega Beedrill. Automatic paralysis, but you've got to discard all energy attached to this Pokemon to try and stop you doing it every turn. Although, and this is something we will be talking about in a video in the not too distant future, you could always use Venusaur from Shining Legends, and then it's actually a single energy attack because your basic grass energy count double, and then you could potentially do it every turn, something to bear in mind. But generally speaking, like Mega Beedrill, automatic paralysis has a huge downside. One of the biggest ones lately was Excelgor. Now, Excelgor had deck and cover, 50 damage plus paralysis plus poison, and then you had to shuffle it into your deck with all cards attached to it. Now, when people played Excelgor, they would try and set the board up so that they had a new Shelmet ready, or a new Excelgor ready, and a new double colorless energy for the following turn, so that they could use this every single turn. But if you ever played with or against an Excelgor deck, you will know that the best laid plans of mice and men don't always work. It was not always that easy to just get the combo every single turn. When we have paralysis, Pokemon try and make sure you can't do it every turn. The nearest we've had lately probably was the Vanillux from Noble Victories. And yes, I'm aware that I'm using lately very loosely here. Double freeze for 2 energy, flip 2 coins. If either is heads, the defending Pokemon is now paralyzed. Then you would combine that with the Victini from Noble Victories, so that if you didn't flip even a single heads, you got to reflip and you ended up with something like a 15 in 16 chance of paralysis. So that all goes to say that instant paralysis is not something that the Pokemon Company or whoever designs the cards gives away lightly. And they haven't here, because you need 4 energy to get this going. So we'll talk about the energy cost in a minute. For the moment, 100 damage is great, because Buzzwole has 190 HP, weakness to Psychic. You're doing the exact amount of damage you need to get a one-hit KO on Buzzwole. That is good. But you're getting instant poison as well, and might I remind you of Seviper? Seviper says that your poison does an extra damage counter between turns. Now, if you really want, we can go into the expanded format and talk about Verbank City Gym, but then again, if you go into the expanded format, we've got Night March, which is still crushing the expanded format. Pumpkaboo will hit for weakness. This is not something that's going to work that well in expanded. This is very much a standard kind of trick. So let's say, for argument's sake, that you get 2 out. You get 2 of these Seviper on the field. Well, you do 100, and then they take 2 damage counters. Then when it comes back to you, they've taken another 2, so they're on 140. You then hit them to go up to 240, and then that extra 2 damage counters comes down, puts them on 260, and basically anything is KO'd. The exception to this would be something like a Metagross or a Solgaleo, both of which are metal Pokemon with 250 HP, and a resistance to Psychic, which means that they will in fact tank that hit. But even something like a Zoroark GX, you hit for 80 because of resistance. Then they take 2 damage counters, go up to 100. Then they go up to 120 after their turn. You hit them for 80 with resistance to go up to 200. And then after your turn, they take 20 from poison. And all of a sudden, they are KO'd. That's taking 20 from poison, which is a single Seviper on the bench. I think I said 2 Seviper on the bench. What I meant was 2 damage counters between turns with 1 Seviper on the bench. So you're 2-hit KOing basically everything. If you're against 130 HP Pokemon, something like a Greninja here, you could just pop a couple of Seviper on the bench. You're basically doing 130, Greninja goes down. And remember, when I'm talking about 2-hit KOing, yes, that Zoroark can potentially get out of it, but they've got to play something like a Guzma or an Ace Roller. Now, annoyingly, these are played in pretty much every deck. As I mentioned earlier on in my Roserade video today, check that out, I'll pop a link in the description, although it's just the last video. It's easier for Pokemon players to get around things like poison and paralysis at the moment because everyone's playing Guzma and Ace Roller. But unless they've got one of them, you will get a second hit. It's not like you're going to hit Zoroark and then they're going to retreat. It's not just the poison, it's the paralysis. Instant poison, instant paralysis, and 100 damage. You are basically 2-hit KOing anything you want to here, but you're paralyzing them in between, which means you should get time to get a second hit. But it's for 4 energy, and that's a problem. Maybe you can use Max Elixir before you evolve. That could work. I mean, you could use something like a Lunala GX here, and Lunala might see more play in the future. Lunala decks are being hyped. But you've still got to move those 4 energy using Lunala onto your Drapion. And then if you get KO'd, you lose all of that energy. And that's the big problem here. You will almost certainly get a KO with Drapion. Because you're 2-hit KOing while paralyzing, you're almost certainly going to get a KO here. But you're almost certainly going to get KO'd back. and you've got to invest 4 separate energy. Now, if this was for 4 colourless energy, and you could use double colourless, or you could use grass energy plus Venusaur, I would be all in favour. But you can't, because it's 4 psychic energy. And that really is what takes Drapion from an, oh my goodness, automatic paralysis kind of card, to an, oh, well, how am I getting the energy kind of card. The attack is spectacular. 100 damage plus instant paralysis and poison. There is no argument that this attack is a phenomenal attack. It is a phenomenal attack. But it's for 4 psychic energy, and I don't think we're getting 4 psychic energy onto this, unless you use something like a Lunala, or hit a whole bunch of max elixirs. But then the energy you put on there, the resources you've used, will be lost when Drapion gets KO'd, and you've got 130 HP and a weakness that ain't great. Which is really annoying. I'm going to have to give Drapion between 2 and 3 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. I'm annoyed at Drapion, because I look at this attack and I think, oh my goodness, that attack is spectacular. And then I look at the attack cost and go, oh, how am I paying that again? It's possible. And I would not be surprised to see somebody go and wreck a tournament with this. But like so many Pokemon we've talked about in the past, like Lunala, like Toxapex GX, we are still crying out for a good way to accelerate psychic energy. And if we ever get one, cards like Drapion are going to be great. But we don't have it right now. And it's annoying, and it's sad, but that's where we are. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys, so let me know in the comment section. Do you think this is going to be a good card? Do you have any good ideas for getting the energy on there, or is it just a bit too expensive? Go nuts! Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus pods and so on, you can do so by going to patreon.com/PTCGRadio. But by far, the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.